there's a real possibility that this could be beautiful, that I could look back on this as one of the most exciting and happy times of my life. Hey cuties, welcome back to the Love Drive podcast. I want to start with a little quote from Ann Patchett, who is an author. It helps if you can realize that this part of life, when you don't know what's coming, is often the part that people look back on with the greatest affection. And today's episode is really about that, about learning to live with not knowing. And what happens when you succumb to the unpredictability of life. And I have a listener question that gets right at the heart of it. This is kind of where I'm at. I don't know what's coming. I think a lot of us don't know what's coming. And that's pretty uncomfortable. It's pretty scary not to know what's coming. I have been recently living with a lot of anxiety and depression. And to me, it kind of feels like anxiety is me trying to figure out what's coming, right? My brain is trying to make sense and is trying to control my life and is trying to plan for what is coming down the pipe. But the reality is, I don't know what's coming down the pipe. And I'm pretty sure you don't know what's coming down the pipe either. I mean, sure, it's like, okay, I've got a life. I know when I go to the gym, I know where I go to work, I know who my friends are, but the variety, the unpredictability of life is huge. It's huge. And I am trying to learn how to let go and just be present for the moment, this current moment. And it's hard and it's totally a practice, right? Letting go is a practice that I have to do over and over and over and over again. I can let something go and then I'll feel some peace around it and then I'll take it back, right? Whether it's anxiety over a relationship or a job or a housing situation or anything, I want to control it so that I can predict it, so that I can know how to feel about it. I think it's a lot harder to just trust and to let go and to be present in whatever is arising in the moment. I'm reading a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and it's pretty much all about letting go. How do you let go when life is constantly hitting your stuff, right? People, situations, events. These things are affecting you. They're affecting me. And then I have lots of feelings about them, right? I get rejected by a woman. I start feeling like I'm not enough. I start telling myself stories about if I had only done this or if I had only done that, then I would still be with this person, right? Or I don't get a promotion at work. If I'd only done this, if I'd only done that, I would have gotten the promotion. I start beating myself up. I start telling myself fake stories about how I'm not enough or I'm too much or I'm too needy or I'm not this, I'm not that. And it's exhausting and a lot of it isn't true and a lot of it is outside of my control. And so I'm learning to live with a little bit more unpredictability. And I like this quote. It helps if you can realize that this part of life when you don't know what's coming is often the part that people look back on with the greatest affection. I don't know what's coming. There have been times in my life where I didn't know what was coming and what was coming was good. And sometimes what's coming is not good or easy or simple. It's hard. It's a parrot getting sick. It's a friend dying. It's a pet dying. It's the loss of a friendship. It's the loss of a job. It's loss, really. A lot of it is loss. Because no one wants to lose anything. And yet that's part of life. That is so deeply intrinsic to life, right? The only constant in life is change. We've heard this before. And I don't like change. But today's episode isn't about the unpredictability of life, although it probably is. It's about how to find your home. And that also includes how do you find community? Because I think community is home. So I have a question from a listener that was emailed to me. And you could do this too. You can email me a question, podcast@thelovedrive.com, or you could also leave a voicemail or a voice memo or a text, 415 494-5995. Hey, save it on your phone. Call as much as you want. I love hearing from you. Questions, comments, reviews, hate mail, whatever you want. Okay, here's the question. Shaun, I'm wondering if you would do a podcast on your search for a home city and how that impacts relationships. I've moved many times and recently did so for a relationship which has ended. I'm now contemplating where to go next, and frankly, the easier thing to do is move back to San Diego, closer to my community. Yet, I feel a resistance to return to what's familiar and a longing to move to Northern California or Europe, which in both cases means more physical distance from my friends and support. I'm curious about your journey and your advice. Thank you for the question. I think it's a really good one, and it brings up a lot of different considerations. I have moved a lot. My therapist would say that I am desperately looking for home and meaning and fulfillment in where I live. I won't bore you with all of the details, but I lived in the Bay Area for 20 years in San Francisco and outside of San Francisco from the age of 15 to like 32. And then I moved to Montreal. And in the last 10 years, I have lived in Montreal. I have lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is kind of a weird choice. I mean, that's what Conan O'Brien said when I met him 5 years ago or 4 years ago at a canoe club in Hawaii. We just started chatting. He was there visiting friends, I guess. And my mom went to go talk to him. And then my dad went to go talk to him. And then I went to go talk to him. And we were just kind of chatting. And he asked me where I live. And I said, Flagstaff, Arizona. And he goes, huh. Interesting place to live. And he's right. It's an interesting place to live. So I've lived in Montreal for the most part. And then I lived in Flagstaff for a couple of years. And then I tried LA. And then I even did the bi-coastal thing, the like California, Montreal thing. And now I have settled in San Francisco, which is where I used to live. So my experience is that like I did pick up 10 years ago, I picked up and I moved across the country to live in my hometown. I mean, to be fair, Montreal is where I was born, but I left when I was 13 years old. So I didn't have friends there and I barely had any family there. And I'll tell you, when I did that move, I was ready for an adventure. I was ready to live an unpredictable life. I did not know what I was going to find there. And I have to admit, Ann Patchett is right. I look back on those 5 years in Montreal as one of the best times of my life. I went there with my dog. I went there to go to school. I didn't get in. I started a podcast that you're listening to right now. I got certified as a coach. I met all sorts of people. I dated a French Canadian woman that I fell in love with. I climbed all over the Eastern United States and Canada. I reconnected with French language. I got a therapist that I'm still seeing today. I still see to this day. It's been about 7 or 8 years now. So I do look really fondly on that time of my life. And the reality is that I was ready for an adventure. I was over San Francisco, too many tech people. I wasn't taking advantage of the place. I wanted something new. When I moved to Arizona, I was also looking for something new. And I was looking for a place to ski, bike, and climb. And I found that, but I also didn't find community the way I found it in Montreal. And I will say that in Montreal, it took me 2 years to find my people. I met friends along the way that I still love that are near and dear to me, but I didn't find my people, like my group. You can't say tribe anymore, but I didn't find my friend group until 2 years. So just know that if you're moving somewhere, it can take a while to find your people. And when I moved to Arizona, I did not find my people. And ultimately I left. And when I moved back to San Francisco, I know that my people are here. So that made the trip easier. It made the move easier. My suggestion is if you're going to move anywhere, and this is for the listener or for anybody, the question asker, or for anybody listening, if you're going to move anywhere, all you need is 1 or 2 people that you might know, right? To get started. It's like the trimming of a plant. You don't need the whole plant. You do need the trim. You need the little piece of the plant that you can put in water that's going to grow some roots. Because those 1 or 2 people will hopefully introduce you to more people. And so I'm not saying that you can't move to a place not knowing anybody, but it's nowadays with the internet, you can find somebody that you are like 2 degrees of separation from, right? Like you post on Instagram or Facebook saying, hey, I'm moving to Berlin. Who do I know that knows somebody in Berlin? And there's a good chance that you're going to know somebody that knows somebody. So that's how you can pretty much start your new journey anywhere, right? Another thing to consider is that there's this idea of third spaces, right? First space being your home, second space being your place of work, third space being where do you spend another good amount of time. And we're not really good at this in North America. It's easier to do in Europe where they have like plazas and like they're more community oriented. We're a little too individualistic here in the United States and maybe even in Canada, but a gym is a great third space. When I moved to LA, I joined this gym called Pharos and I was there 4 times a week and I made friends that I like saw outside of the gym. And so it's important that you find a place where people can get to know you on a regular basis. Even if it's just the staff of that place, right? It's going to require you to put yourself out there, right? You're going to have to go to things. You're going to have to say yes to things. You're going to have to like try to meet new people. You're going to have to introduce yourself. When I decided to move back to San Francisco, it's because I didn't have the energy or the desire to start over again. I wanted to move to somewhere that I already had community and friends. And look, the reality is that in 10 years, things have changed. Some of my friends aren't here anymore. Some of my friends have kids and they're not as available anymore. The landscape has changed, right? So if you move back to San Diego, know that that has changed. Things have changed. And moving back, it's funny, to a certain degree, I kind of looked at moving back as like, oh, I had failed. Like I wasn't able to make it. I wasn't able to build a life outside of San Francisco and I had to come crawling back. But the reality is that I have friends here and I also have an apartment here that I've owned since 2008. And I am currently, I guess I could tell you this now, here's the secret that I've been holding on to for months is that I'm moving back into my apartment. I just had to wait for my tenants to move out and they are moving out shortly. So there was a lot of waiting and a lot of unpredictability. And so soon, August 1st, I should be moving back into my house. And that will be the first time that I'm back in that house in over 10 years. And I'm excited not to be a landlord anymore. And I'm excited not to have a landlord anymore. It's a huge gift to be able to move back into my house. I'm really excited about that. But I'm not in a place to start over, right? So if you're considering a move, whether it's a move back home or it's a move somewhere new, what kind of space are you in? There will be unpredictability regardless of where you go. But do you have the energy to start over? The beauty about starting over is like you can be whoever you want to be. Sometimes you have to start over, total fresh, to just experience a whole new version of you. There's a lot of beauty in that. There's a lot of freedom. It's exciting. And I will say that it can be lonely. Starting over can be and probably will be lonely at times. You will have moments of feeling homesick, of feeling like you made a mistake, of feeling like maybe you should have just gone to where you know. I mean, look, we can take this example in a whole bunch of different places, right? You break up with somebody, you feel lonely, you go, maybe I should go back to them. I know what that feels like. I know what they feel like. There's a reason people get back together, right? Because it's comfortable, because it's safe, or because it's the devil you know. It's a little scary to go meet new people. And sometimes it's also very exciting to meet new people. I like this idea of the upsides of unpredictability. Usually you think of unpredictability as being sort of negative. But what if we looked at it as like, oh, wow, there's a real possibility that this could be beautiful, that I could look back on this as one of the most exciting and happy times of my life. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a lot of books these days. I'm excited that I'm like back into reading books. I'm reading a book by Oliver Burkeman, which is called Meditations for Mortals. He was the author of that book, 4,000 Weeks, which basically was like, you have 4,000 weeks in your life and half of them are gone. What are you going to do with your, one and only precious life? The chapter that I'm reading is chapter 19, and it's titled A Good Time or a Good Story. And basically the idea is that like whatever happens to you will either be a good time or a good story. My 2 years in Flagstaff, I don't think were a good time, but it was a good story. I learned that I don't want to live in a cabin in the woods alone. And I don't want to buy a house unless it's with somebody else. A partner. I want to buy a house with a partner. I want to build a home with a partner. Or it's a good time, right? Moving to Montreal for me was a good time. I made a lot of friends, reconnected with my roots, found a cute apartment, really had a good time. So anything we do is going to be a good time or a good story. I guess this is a version of do it for the plot. I mean, don't do things that you're going to regret. But also isn't regret part of life? I remember Alain de Botton saying marry them and you'll regret it. Don't marry them and you'll regret it. Have kids and you'll regret it. Don't have kids and you'll regret it. Life requires regret and grief and unpredictability and letting go of control, living in the moment, trying to get out of your own way. There's a saying in 12-step recovery, we relax and we take it easy. And I really want to relax and take it easy more. I want to get out of my own way. I found that in Arizona, my people didn't live there. And so I had to leave knowing that my people don't live there. I mean, sure, maybe they do. I just hadn't found them. But I spent 2 years there and I didn't really meet my people. So go where your people are and stay. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to stay. I'm in San Francisco now. I still have an apartment in Montreal that I have sublet long term. I don't know when I'll be back. I don't know if I'll be back. But for now, I'm here. I'm in San Francisco. I'm moving back into my apartment and I'm trying to get out of my own way and I'm trying to relax and take it easy. And that's my update for you today. I have a question for you. Do you like the solo episodes? Do you like the guest episodes? Or do you like both of them? Answer on Spotify. I'm going to put a poll. Answer on Spotify, which episodes do you like best? For now, I'm picturing that I'm going to keep doing this back and forth, one solo, one guest. Although I have some news, actually. When I move back into my house, I can build my studio, my podcast studio. I'm very excited about that. I've already started looking at chairs, because all the you got to have cool chairs. You have to have comfy, cool chairs for great, insightful conversations. So I'm excited to be looking at and soon buying chairs for my podcast studio. Okay, let's see. Leave me a message. You know how, podcast@thelovedrive.com or 415-494-9559. Leave me a review. Share this with somebody if it touched you. I realize that this podcast is art more than it is a business. And if you like this art, then share it with somebody, either on social media or just, in a text message, if this episode touched you. I'm open to coaching. I have room for 3 new clients. So if you're struggling with grief, depression, how to ask for what you want, setting loving boundaries, dating, relationships, talking about sex, finding out where your next place to live is, and you need some support, look at the show notes. There's a link there to learn a little bit more about my coaching and how to book a call. And also just a heads up, I am taking August off because I'm moving into my apartment in August. And so I'll have a month to sort of move in, get the studio up and running, la-di-da-di-da. So just a heads up, in August, the whole month off. We should all be taking August off anyways. And that's it. I hope you have a beautiful week. Take good care.